Hey guys, how's everyone doing? Welcome to Be the Change. This is Tiffany Lewis. I hope you're all having a really wonderful day. Off the top, the last couple of weeks episodes have been pretty heavy on this show, Be the Change. And that's okay. We touched on a lot of important issues that we really needed to discuss. And going along with the format that we've been in the last couple of weeks, I'm going to bring in week 3 in regards to the same subjects as week 1 and week 2. And I'm going to add a twist to it. I'm going to call this show Slave to Technology. Human slavery. Slavery to technology. I kind of touched on it last week, but I really want to dive into the facts of the situation. I think that we are all born and bred from a very young age to become a slave to what the history books tell us, and science and math and numbers and God and the devil. And, as usual, I'm not even going to attempt to touch on religion. I'm just saying that we were born and raised to believe certain belief systems and certain values and certain morals. And, the more that we watch television and music videos, for example, or even listen to them, the lyrics alone, the more trapped we become in this slavery process that started at a very young age. So, for instance, let's take the educational system, right? You have to go to kindergarten when you're around 5 years old, and you have to stay in school until you're around 18 years old, maybe 17 if you started early or whatever the situation is. And we are taught things in books repetitively over and over and over and over again. We are taught that history repeats itself. We are taught that this is the truth and nothing else is true besides this, right? The earth is round and Christopher Columbus discovered that, and that's the answer. And none of that's true. And I'm not going to get into how I know that right now. That's another show. You can tune into Decoding the Unknown on Fridays at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time or 7 p.m. Eastern. And you can actually hear me break these points down and decipher them for exactly what they are and repeat the facts back to you. But, that show has triggered something in me in this show, which I never thought possible, because this is an inspirational show. I'm trying to inspire you. I'm trying to provide you hope. I'm trying to come across as the loving, nurturing person that I am, and let you know that I care about you and that you're not alone and that it's going to be okay. That suicide is never the answer. Reality is whatever we perceive it to be. And I want us all to reach above whatever we know or think we know or need to post or get likes, or how dislikes lead to negative energy, which leads to negative self-esteem, or how likes, just for instance on Facebook, or the smiley face or the thumbs up or however you want to call it, how that leads to a false sense of positive self-esteem. So I believe I was put on this earth to give you some messages, not just one, but multiple. As has been the case in the last 2 weeks. Again, my voice is failing me, and I'm sorry about that up front. Obviously, there are forces greater than me trying to force me to not speak freely and clearly to you, but any of my loyal fans and loyal listeners, you guys know I'm always honest. You know I'm always truthful. And you know that I'm going to sit here and get through and fight through this piece of me that wants to lose its voice and, you know, push forward. So here we are. I'm hoping by the time you hear this, I don't have any more information on any more suicides, because we all know that the suicide rates are rising right now. What we don't know is the reasons behind that. And again, that goes back into the Decoding the Unknown show, and I'm not going to get into that here. But I can say that the world that we live in, you know, like I said, we were born and bred, bred and buttered into this society. The society where you put things online and get involved with social media, which was created to outsmart you in the first place, right? Even Mark Zuckerberg and all of the people that were originally the creators of Facebook, who have all bowed out at this point, will tell you that they regret, making Facebook, because they realize the effect that it's had on the masses of people in the whole world were exactly what they anticipated it to be. So it was sort of a sociology project in a way. And then when that happened and they realized that they could control the masses, or the masses can control other masses, or that cyberbullying would increase, and that people are lonely. And I'm not blaming this on parents. I'm not blaming this on the education system. I'm not blaming this on anything or anyone. I'm just saying that especially children at a young age, they're lonely and it's stimulating. So if your parent's not paying attention to you and you have your phone right there and you post some photo of something and somebody likes it, all of a sudden you get this dopamine hit of positive affirmation, therefore gaining this fake sense of self-esteem. Now, opposite of that, if somebody were to dislike your picture or post or whatever, which by the way is not going to happen 99% of the time, they're just going to bypass it, ignore it, skip through it, and scroll along to the next one. Because not many people argue these days, thank God. But, they did during presidential elections, and there was a lot of mass chaos over that. But right now it's calmed down a little bit. A lot of things have changed in history between then and now. And, it's just really important that you don't fall into the trap of the majority of the rest of society, the human race at that. It's not even just society. It's the human race as one whole unit, right? If everybody gets on Facebook and then one person releases one bit of fake news and everybody watches it and everybody likes it or don't like it, whatever, as long as you watch it, now that entity, that force, has complete power and control over you, because you watched it, you bought into it, and 99% of the news that you hear is fake news anyways, and that's a whole other topic. But you believe what you are shown on social media, like especially FaceTime and Twitter and things like that, Instagram. Snapchat's a different conversation, which I may bounce back to here in a little bit, but let's just take the three: Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I said last week, MySpace is still around if you'd like a little bit more privacy and you'd like a theme song to play when somebody clicks on your profile, and really no cyberbullying occurs because it's way too simplistic for that. Just switch on over to MySpace versus Facebook. But that's not saying that they're not going to get more intelligent. But, even Facebook admits that they developed Facebook. They developed these applications which would later become Facebook, and the way that it works, to break it down in layman's terms. So the creators of Facebook develop Facebook, which is a level of different amounts of, like I call them dopamine hits, but they purposely developed a program with different applications, and with each different application of it, you get a sum whole of a society, a sum whole of a combination of all of the different applications that they use, such as a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or I like this video or I don't like that video, or something going viral, for instance. Where do you think that term came from? Seriously. And that's a whole other conversation about the internet, but just Facebook alone, they created these applications realizing the impact it was going to have on the world and the impact it would have on children that were growing up to become adults who would become dependent on this, and then that therefore would become their sense of reality and their sense of self-esteem and how they feel about themselves. And then, bullies used it to, bash somebody, specifically well, no, I'm not going to say a child, but anybody. Bullies can use it to bash somebody, and that can go viral or semi-viral. And that, to any person, no matter what your age is, that is devastating. That is crushing. And that completely ruins the way you feel about yourself. It brings you right on back to high school and junior high, when people were just so mean to each other. And there's nothing to gain from Facebook, and Facebook admits that. It is just a mass society of people who are coming together, and because they're telling you to like something, or they're telling you this is the actual news, you are willingly agreeing with that, watching those videos, and liking them or don't like them. It doesn't matter. You still watched it, even if it's cute puppies. Right? And this is the control of the mass of society, of humans, as we see it now. And that wasn't possible 20 years ago, but it's possible now. It's possible to control an entire human race just by using the power of suggestions and Super Bowl commercials and technology and the internet and Facebook. And it's possible to make somebody feel a way that they don't feel. Like, if I was completely happy and then I got on Facebook and somebody said one bad thing about me, what's that going to trigger? That's going to trigger some anger and some emotional, anguish, and it's going to make me feel sad. And then in return, because I have been programmed that negative reaction on that tweet or that post or that Instagram thing either didn't get a reaction or it got a negative reaction, I am then going to respond to that. This is a cause and effect. Always has been, always will be. And maybe my effect is that I will post a really pretty picture with lavender flowers in the background, and people will like it. And maybe that will, be a rebuttal of the argument of people who didn't like my post. And maybe that will even it out, and maybe it won't. But the point is, if you feel that people don't like you, or they don't like your post, they don't like your subject, they don't like your picture, and or they're bullying you, 9 times out of 10, especially, and I don't mean to use the word children, but let's just say children all the way up to 30 years old, right? And, adults, we are definitely responsible for this too. We partake in this too willingly until we understand that this is a willing habit that we have allowed to incur in our lives. But let's say any person responds to that negativity with a really pretty picture, like I said, with lavender or something fields in the background, and all of a sudden positive energy comes to you. Oh, you're so pretty. Oh, you're so this. Oh, that's such a wonderful picture. You're so amazing. But, some reason the negativity weighs on you not only more heavy than whatever positive outcome may come of whatever you put out there for the world to, like I say, decipher and interpret and judge, and you put that out there based off of a negative emotion, right? Or maybe no emotion at all. Maybe you're not getting any attention at home and you just decide to put a picture out there and 3 people like it, and all of a sudden you have this self-worth, this false sense of self-worth. And even more so when one person scrolls past it that's in your friends list or you're following on Twitter or whatever, and they completely ignore you. Now that creates a barrier of a false sense of negativity. And then sometimes, but not always, that will extenuate itself into other circumstances, especially like in high school or junior high or college, and like I said, this can happen at any age. Now, I've had it happen to me as a grown adult. Bullying is bullying is bullying. It will always be bullying. It has always been bullying. No age makes a difference. Gender makes no difference. Race makes no difference. It's legitimately all about somebody saying something negative about someone or proving a really embarrassing picture or video is relevant by posting it online, and then the masses come in and other ignorant people buy into that and watch that video, whether they like it or dislike it or whatever, they still watched it. Now what this does is create a level outside of our first level of consciousness. And we're going to start delving into the subconscious here a little bit. Okay, so there's what we're aware of, what's happening, what we have control over, what's being said about us, how much we look at it, how much other people look at it, and how much we put ourselves in a position to be judged or liked or disliked or followed or whatever. And then outside of that is another level that, I can't with certainty say that it's subconscious, but maybe it is. Maybe subconsciously we're trying to kind of make up for that negative post or the negative video that was shown, and we don't know what else to do. So we only are left with a couple of options. A, my life is over and suicide is the only option. B, I post, a pretty picture of myself to try to prove the masses wrong. But what y'all aren't comprehending is that it's the masses, and for those people that are less than capable of being the masses of robots that follow the fake leader who posts fake news and even if it's a real video, who encourage people or spread it across the whole school, for example, or whatever, and completely terrorize a person and ruin their life as they know it, because this is the one thing that was not meant to be shared with the world, or you'd wish nobody had caught on camera, and you might not have even known that it was being taped at the time, but it was being recorded, and then it was blasted online, and then it probably went viral, if nothing else, at least at the school. So by having a social media account, you make yourself a victim of either side of social media. Either you're a victim of needing likes to like yourself, or needing someone to say that they like your shirt for you to like your shirt, and then you'll probably you will absolutely wear it again if somebody says, I like that shirt on you. Or you take it to the other extreme, and somebody catches you off guard and videotapes you, let's just, for instance, say tripping and falling. And then all of a sudden, everybody shares that video with everybody, because inside of every school is like private chat groups and more private chat groups, and they share it, and the whole school has seen it, right? So you walk into school not even knowing what's happening, and then it turns out the entire school they've been had this video shared with them of you tripping and falling. Sort of like the movie Carrie a little bit. But it is what it is. And the only way to stop the cycle is to get off of social media. And if you're going to be on social media, then you need to look at this from an analytical point of view and a sociological point of view and a I'm sorry, my voice is failing me. A psychology point of view, and do a little bit of information on psychology and the human masses and how they can create a mass effect by using a massive amount of people who all cooperate in one thing at one time, first off. Secondly, if you're going to choose to remain on social media, don't post pictures of yourself that are left up to interpretation, because once those masses have exposed you one good time, they're going to cyber stalk you, and they're going to continually expose every single flaw and make a joke out of everything and turn every single thing into cyberbullying. And those are all facts. But I'm going to come back to this subject in a minute. I'm going to take a little break because, as usual, in the last 3 weeks, like I said in the beginning of the show, my voice is not cooperating. I will conquer it, and I'll be right back.